Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
And tune into your favorite podcast,
where things will be misquoted
and opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked and probably loaded.
Hey guys, welcome to Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly. I'm your host, DJ Qualls, and I'm here with my good friend Kelly BlackHeart. Hey Kelly.
Hey, how's it going?
Not well. I know you're supposed to when you, like, the rules for media, like when you do a talk show or anything like this, a podcast, you're supposed to lie and say that everything is
everything's
great.
good all the time.
I feel like shit. I did not sleep well last night. I had this dream. So there's nothing worse than when you have a dream that you can't get away from, that's just annoying. Like if it was scary, I could justify it. I had this dream. I was making this short film with Kate Moss called Kate Moss is Bored. And it was, the whole movie was me I put a ball into a pipe with water in it, and we were chasing the ball all over the city, and we thought it was the funniest, most clever thing ever. But in the middle of the dream, I realized how stupid it was, but I couldn't make the dream go away. So I woke up pissed off today.
And you're positive it's not a memory?
It's definitely not a memory. I actually have met Kate Moss.
But you can lucid dream though.
I can lucid dream.
So why couldn't you get away from Kate Moss?
The problem was I ate a bunch of shit before I went to bed last night and then passed out. So I didn't sort of hypnotize myself and go into that, like, you have to prepare for lucid dreaming.
Transcendental state.
It doesn't just happen. Things just don't happen, Kelly. But I woke up really hating the world. Like, I hated you until about 20 minutes ago.
I know. I picked you up and I was like, yeah, when I picked you up, you stood at your door. You didn't even come outside until I acknowledged you.
Because I was thinking about turning back.
And then you walked so slowly to my car, and I was like, the fuck's wrong? What's wrong with him?
I'm telling you, one of the questions I get asked a lot from people in the general public, because I was on a show, a zombie apocalypse show, was, do I think I would survive the zombie apocalypse? Absolutely not. 5 minutes after the internet goes out, I'll have a gun in my mouth.
Yeah. We just talked about that on the car here too. I was like, I think my parents know that if there's a single inconvenience in my life, I'm out.
Exactly. Like when camping? Why do you want to do that? I go outside to get inside. One of my favorite, when you live in people come here to LA and they're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. We have to do all this stuff. But when it's beautiful every day,
you get spoiled.
You get spoiled and you don't really do things because it's pretty. Like one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is to sit in a dark bar on a beautiful day. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Because when we're done day drinking, it's still daylight and we don't feel as shitty about ourselves.
Yeah.
Speaking of degenerate behavior, we were planning on...
Oh, that's right.
We told everybody we were going to do edibles for this episode, but DJ wanted to keep the facade up a little bit longer, that we're not horrible, degenerate fucks.
Yeah. I want you guys to think that we want to appeal to the largest market as possible. So this episode is for the single moms who work 2 jobs, who love their kids and never stop. We want to be something for everybody.
Aspirational.
So we want to be aspirational. I didn't want to get into like drug use until the 3rd episode. Right. For some reason, 3rd episodes of things always say drug use to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've gotten to know us. Now It's time to do drugs.
Now it's time for you to see. Like, it's like the period of time when you're pretending to be somebody else when you're dating.
Yes. Yeah. On your best behavior.
Yeah.
Well, the weird thing though is, like, I just truly don't even consider weed a drug at this point.
I know you don't.
So the heroin episode will be wild though.
You don't consider weed a drug so much so that when you show up to trivia, so I do trivia twice a week and I drag Kelly with me too. I am very serious about trivia, like serious about it. It's one of the only things I have, which is kind of sad, but I know, but I love it so much. So I drag Kelly with me, and if she's not quick on the uptake, I'm like, how high are you right now? Because it's not a drug to you.
Yeah, but also you're lucky I get high, because that's when I pull the random answers out of my ass that really help you out.
Yeah.
You weren't going to get Cornelius by yourself.
You weren't. I actually wasn't. You're right. One of the questions one day was, what was the mascot's?
The Kellogg's Cornflakes mascot.
Yeah, Rooster's mascot.
And it was like related to Shakespeare.
Yeah, which I knew. Yeah. I knew that it was a part of Hamlet.
Yes.
But I didn't know Hamlet well enough to know that there was a Cornelius.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
I know. So maybe you being high is actually the answer to all my problems.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's I can function. We're good.
So anyway, we're not going to do it on this episode because I didn't want you to think that we're degenerates. And also, I'm a little afraid actually. But because I'm not a good high person, I
don't think I've ever seen you high.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, no. Remember that one time we ordered Taco Bell at your house and I smoked weed and then we watched what's that show? The HBO show, The Other Two.
Oh yeah.
Which is a great show, by the way. If you haven't seen this show, The Other Two is so good.
It's very niche. It's very inside baseball for the industry, I think. But if you're somebody who enjoys the entertainment world at all, it's one of the funniest shows out there.
It's great.
It's fantastic. I think it got canceled initially and then like picked up by HBO or something like that.
It's so caustic and funny and quick. It's a really, really, really good.
Yes, love it.
It's cynical and hopeful.
Isaac, have you watched it?
I haven't seen it.
You have a
It's really
microphone.
good. Oh, have we introduced Isaac yet?
I don't think so.
So Isaac is our producer, director / organizer / everything. Actually, you are everything.
Hello, everyone.
At some point, I'm probably going to fall
He's
in love
also used to be
with
a plumber.
Isaac. Do you used to be a plumber?
Yeah, so I really need him to come over and fix my dishwasher.
That was a long time ago.
Do you know plumbing things?
I know some things about some
I'm
plumbing.
always fascinated when people know how to do stuff.
I know. What a dream.
I know. Is it though?
What a dream to have talent somewhere.
Actually, my quote is, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you would love to weaponize incompetence, don't you?
I hate learning things. I like learning facts. Like I spent a day once on set learning about bees, and I know a lot about diamonds, and I want to know about what I want to know about. But I don't want to know anything that's actionable.
Yeah, you don't want to be an expert in anything that anybody would require effort from you.
No, if you have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to do it or wear a tool belt, I don't want to know how to do that.
When I was working in finance, I had to manage all these contractors, and so I'd go to their meetings at 6 a.m. and it'd be like HVAC guys, but a lot of them were also plumbers and all of that stuff, and they did not want to learn finance from me.
But I do think it's hot though. I like it when somebody knows how to do something.
Yeah.
Coming home after a hard day's work.
I did say I'm not interested in dating, but I did say if I was going to date somebody, it would have to be like a handyman.
Oh fuck yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine
That's like
coming
a
home
porn
and you're
fantasy.
like, hey, the shelf is broken. Could you fix that? But the shelf is broken for 6 months at my house.
Dude, the lights in my bathroom shorted out over a year ago. I have a lamp in there.
You shower by candlelight.
Yeah, I do. When something breaks in my house, I put up orange cones around it.
Same.
Until it becomes a barrier I can't walk around.
Isaac, another thing that happened, Mylene was taking a shower the other day. That's leaking down into the main floor. So if you could help me with that too. I think the earthquake that we had recently, cracked through the foundation.
It's entirely
can
possible.
Barely open the patio door.
We had a 5.4 years ago, right when I bought my house, and it was one of those jolty, shallow ones. And so I have 2 rooms on top of each other, and then bathrooms on top of those on each other. So there's the doors that communicate. It jarred them both, so the doors wouldn't close, and it was like that for 6 months. And I finally called somebody to fix it. And 3 days before the guy was coming to pull out the door jambs and plumb everything, make it straight. We had another earthquake and it fixed it.
Oh,
so all I had was spider web. I know.
Gotta have another earthquake then.
I know. Earthquakes are great.
I wonder if the earthquakes could fix the 6 holes in my ceiling.
They're probably not. What are those holes from?
They sent some people to check my sprinklers, the fire system, and I was up in my room, and all of a sudden I hear sawing, and I shout down. I'm like, what's the sawing? Before I come downstairs, and there's 6 holes in the ceiling. They're like, we had to find the pipes for this, and I go, oh, okay, you guys are gonna fix those, right? And he's like, yeah. Did they leave? 6 holes in the ceiling still. I email them, and they go, yeah, we don't do that. And I was like, could you have at least asked before you they're on my main floor, just gaping holes.
Owning a house is an awesome thing, but when shit goes wrong, it goes really wrong. I bought my house. When I bought my house, there was a flood in the house I was not aware of because the courtyard was graded wrong. And one day I was it's 4 years into owning it. I was going outside and tripped over a floorboard that was coming up and pulled it up. There was black mold. So I had 1,400 square feet of black mold. I had to live behind a
Jack in the Box.
Buying Jack in the No. I would have been so happy
Eats
because I love
tacos all the
I
time.
love Jack in the Box. I had to live behind one of those, like a plastic curtain with a zipper in it, like Bubble Boy.
Oh my God.
I'm not joking.
You should have like vlogged that.
I was in shock. So that year I went. I wound up hanging out with Sam Jackson and my friend Alfred.
Like Samuel L.
Yeah.
I'm not used to hearing Sam Jackson.
I know.
It's just like Sam.
So I was hanging out. So I was in a circumstance where we went to a screening for Artists for New South Africa. This was a charity group. They helped free Nelson Mandela, and so we went to this charity screening of a movie called Tsotsi by Gavin Hood. Great movie. So anyway, we're there, and Alfred was like, "So tell Sam about your black mold problem." I was like, "Yeah, my house was flooded, and now I have black mold, and I have to live behind a curtain." Or like a little Bubble Boy thing. And he was like this. I was like, he was like, "How much is it?" I was like, "I have 1,400 square feet." And he was like, 1,400 square feet of black mold. Motherfucker, try 14,000. Because he had black mold in his house. That's why she told him about it.
Damn. He called you poor so politely.
He black mold shamed me and called me poor.
What an honor.
And so
You've earned calling him Sam Jackson at this point.
He's always loved fucking with me. And so we get into the movie, and it's really sad. And I cry. Like, I cry at commercials,
emotional,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm super emotional. And so it gets to a really sad part. I mean, it's about people being marginalized. And whenever there's anything about people being marginalized, if you felt it all ever marginalized, you're right there with them,
Yeah.
right? And so it got really, really sad. And so I started to cry, and I felt embarrassed. So I leaned all the way forward. And so I'm sitting here, Alfred's sitting to the left of me. Sam is right behind Alfred, and his wife is behind me. So he puts his head between the two seats in the quietest part of the movie. Said, "There's some sad shit in the DJ." Humiliated. You will not get away with crying in front of Sam Jackson.
Got him.
The thing about it is he's just like that. I like people who are exactly like they are, like in the media in real life.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that there are so many people that put on this like really, really. And what's weird about it is like if you're kind of a dick as your persona in Hollywood, people enjoy that if you're a dick outside of it. But when you're I'm the really, really kind, nice person, and then behind the scenes you're an asshole, they really hate that.
I just don't understand, like, first of all, if you are a dick in entertainment, at some point things are going to hit the skids for you. At some point your shit's not going to perform. You're not going to make as much money. Your projects aren't going to be successful. And people are salivating. They're waiting in the wings to take you out. Be smart. If you're awful, be smart enough to do self-preservation and pretend to be nice.
Yeah. But see how that's gone for some people.
Well,
though.
people just can't do it. They cannot. Like Agatha Christie says, if you let people talk long enough, they will tell on themselves. People
That's
can't
true,
get
yes.
away from their own bullshit. It's fascinating to me. When I first came out here, everybody wanted me to have a strong Southern accent, which I had naturally. I didn't even know. But they also wanted me to, like, the story was DreamWorks found me in a cornfield, basically. They made me younger than I was. They changed my educational background. They really want it to be like a story where they found me young and brought me out to Hollywood. So I was like, I remember being on a talk show, and I was like, and then I called my cousin Steve and said, y'all should move out here. They're giving away money. Because that's what they wanted from me. Until I got to a place where I could do this. I'm not doing that anymore. And they're like, what?
Yeah, because you didn't need them.
But I always pretended to be nice. I didn't start being my true self until stuff started hitting the skids in Hollywood.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you didn't have to lean into the tough guy persona or anything like that. Which
Well,
is
it would be
nice,
ridiculous, first of all.
Yeah, can you imagine?
But if I was walking around tough guy, walking around swole with my arms out, so I was, fuck you. What are you looking at?
How many times a day would you get your ass beat?
No, but here, the thing is this. Like, I feel like if you make a living in entertainment, it's a lot of work. And I won't take that from anybody. We work 16, 17-hour days. And
Yeah,
we're
your
always...
Zoom didn't work yesterday?
My Zoom didn't work. It really did rattle me, though. I'm not mechanical. It took me 3 years to learn to breastfeed. I don't know how to do things. But it's what if if you're in entertainment, it's probably your dream. So if you make a living, your dream is coming true. How can you be awful to people?
That's what I don't understand is when you get to a certain point, it's like you're dealing with all of these people that you know are then telling these stories about you. Like that's what I never understood.
I'm not gonna say like, oh, Chevy Chase is a terrible person.
Good one.
But there was a moment once at Sundance that I did not enjoy.
Yeah, I've heard a fair
it broke
amount
my heart.
about him.
And that's the other thing is that when somebody that you idolize growing up or even that you think is cool, you meet in real life and they're shitty to you, especially if it's no fault of your own. It's not like he was eating spaghetti in a restaurant and I climbed over the booth behind him to sit next to him.
Because I am one of those people that likes to give grace to celebrities when people are like, oh, I tried to get a picture with them and they were rude. And it's like, no, you cannot interrupt their life and expect them to be super gracious with you. But when you're in a working scenario or in a place where you're not jumping into somebody's dinner, I do think it's fair to be like, they were an asshole.
That is one of my favorite things about you and what works so well in our friendship. Two examples. You're really good at seeing the alternate view. And sometimes I'm not. But I do pride myself on being able to hear somebody out. And it's also, I think that you know who your tribe is or who your people are, is it when you can hear them and it doesn't feel threatening to you when they ask you things. And that's how people who I'm closest to know how to communicate with me. And it's like this. I notice that you do X, Y, and Z in a completely neutral way. Like, can you explain that to me? And one of the things that you didn't do, but Ty Olson did for me, is he sort of, like, he would be like, it's interesting that you we'll go out together and then you'll go and be a social butterfly and you'll come up to me and be like, don't leave me. And he was like, it's basically subconsciously saying that you don't trust me, and you're making me prove that I'm your friend and love you, but then you absolve yourself of the responsibility of doing anything back or even starting the conversation. And then the first time you did it was, I used to make a lot of gay jokes we were talking earlier about like diabetes, for example, like. Anything can have a division, and like people who have it from being overweight feel divided from people who have it like from birth. There's everything is sort of meant to divide
us versus them. Yeah.
And the idea of identity, it goes too strong when it's like, well, we're not like you. We focus more on the differences or the different paths where we arrive at something than the things we have in common, right? And so growing up gay, especially in the South and even in Hollywood, I've never told this story out loud or never told the story in a public forum, but at my very first press junket, the producer of my first movie told one of the actors he almost didn't hire him because he thought he was a faggot. I'm in New York City in a palatial hotel suite getting ready to do 12 hours of interviews. My dream has come true. And the producer drops faggot in right next to me and saying that we don't hire those.
Right.
So it told me to shut my mouth, right? And it scared me. And so then you you identify with your captors. And so you turn to straight guys like, look how much more like you than I am to that person who's being really effeminate or wearing a dress or whatever. So you build up these walls and these sources of difference. And one day Kelly said to me, I noticed that you make those kind of jokes a lot. And I'm just curious, can you explain to me why you think they're funny? And I was like, oh my God, they're not funny at all. They're defensive. They're like, I'm basically doing a gym selfie. Like it's mind boggling to me when somebody breaks up with somebody and they know gym selfies look desperate.
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy, but you can't stop yourself from taking your shirt off at the gym after you get dumped. And so that's the thing. I know that stuff isn't cool. I feel bad when people are being defensive because I can see through it,
right,
but couldn't get around my own stuff. So that was a really cool thing. And just as recently as last night, we were talking about the Super Bowl, which I didn't watch. All I wanted was onion rings and couldn't find them. I spent the whole day walking to places looking for onion rings, and they were sold out. But we were talking about like somebody said about Usher's halftime show that she should have at least gone backstage because everybody was watching her.
Oh, Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I said, I was like, actually, I do kind of agree with that because it does take focus away. And then you said,
I said if she went to the back of the suite and was nowhere to be found for the performance, she would get shit from people going, oh, she thinks she's so good that she doesn't need to watch the halftime performance. It's like, I mean, truly in this world, you can't win no matter what you do. Even if your intentions are the best, somebody out there will pluck something you've done or said to try to negate your existence. And so the best thing to do is try to live authentically and do no harm to people and just hope for the best, really.
Yeah, but most of it, but the thing is that I really appreciate about you is just your ability to be like, well, I know that may seem like that, but also there's this.
Yeah.
So you're not Kelly Blackheart, you're Kelly Kindheart.
Well, I mean, that is one of the traits about myself that has gotten me in a lot of trouble too, though, because it was one of those things where it was impossible for me to set boundaries because I was always justifying people's behavior around me. Like when they would hurt me, I would look for reasons that they did. And it's like, oh, well, I know that this happened in their childhood. So I've now gotten to a point where I can see the perspective, but that doesn't mean that I'm excusing the behavior.
Right.
And I'm always trying to look for all sides of every story because I'm not super smart, but I know that I don't know everything. And there are certain things where you're like, I'm looking at this from my perspective and how I would react or how I would do this, but like everybody else has their own lived experience that affects the way they operate.
Exactly.
You know, so
it's also it begs the question of judgment or even governance. Like how the hell do you make laws? Like how do you legislate like welfare and things like that and public or social programs that people need? If you have spent 40 years as a career politician and you're worth $180 million, how do you possibly know? The moment,
yes, I know.
I'm from the law world and I know this, the moment you pass the bar, your brain no longer understands a fax machine. You don't know these things. You don't know how the other half lives. You don't know other people's circumstances. So to be judgy on that kind of stuff is really shitty. Also, now we do things instead of directly saying shitty things about people or judging them. People say, oh, that person's problematic. That makes me want to punch you right in the face. That is so replete with smugness.
Yes, I know. It really and
he or she is they can't be here. They're problematic. Oh, fuck off.
And you know
Just
the people commenting it are so shitty in their own lives too. It's like, yes, everybody fucks up, especially when you're talking about like media appearances or podcasts where people aren't scripting out what they're going to say. Sometimes people are going to say something that's like, oh, I didn't like that or I don't agree with that completely, but they will run with it and be like, this is the defining characteristic of this person. And
that popped into my head last night when I was in the shower. I do all my thinking in the shower.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is romantic by candlelight, so it's my thinking time.
But it really is. And so I do have a low flow shower head, so don't send emails or do. Fuck off. Anyway, so I was in there last night and I was kind of going through the first episode and I was like, I bet I said 10 things that are probably over the line. The thing is, I can't care about that. And I don't care about that. And if you have any problem with anything I say, just
please hesitate to let us know.
Keep it to yourself. No, I do kind of want this to be a bit of a Reddit. It's like a Reddit without 14-year-old boys, telling you to fuck yourself and that you're an idiot. I've gone onto Reddit a couple times, looking for questions about watches or just things I don't know about. And it's all a bunch of asshole little boys on there shitting on everything that you say. So I don't mind telling us stuff that you're concerned about. I'd rather not be stuff you're concerned about with us because I don't care. But I think we could use this podcast as like Is it me or is Taco Bell crazy expensive right now? You know what I mean? So you don't have to go on Reddit and say, well, you're poor. That's why it's expensive. And your mom's ugly. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So if anything's grinding your gears or getting to you, I think that's from family.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously if we were to say something really offensive, like I would want to know that I said something offensive.
I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody.
The goal is never to hurt anybody. And we, like I said, it's like, we know that we don't know everything. So, and if you want to educate us on a thing, that's fine. And also we reserve the right to change our opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's what I like. To me, it's crazy when people come after people who are like, well, that's not what you were saying a couple years ago. It's like they change their opinion with more info. That's what we should be doing. That's how you learn and evolve and grow. There are plenty of things that I used to joke about or say when I was younger that I wouldn't think twice about because I was like, oh, I'm edgy and I'm
10 years ago, my go-to drink was Southern Comfort and Diet Coke. What the hell was I thinking? I cannot believe it.
Now it's what, Captain and Coke?
No, it's Captain and Diet Coke.
Wow.
Fuck off.
You changed so much.
I have changed. That's a major change. First of all, they're completely different alcohol bases and made in different places. Oh, fuck off, Kelly. No, but I have.
So original.
But you do change. No, here's the thing. I lean into the cliche. I mean, like when people hipstery shit, like I like that band before they were too popular, or I don't like popular things. Popular things are usually popular because they're dope.
Yeah, I know. The contrarians really.
Do you remember
have to put
Daria?
So much effort. Yeah, Daria.
Yeah.
La la la.
Yeah,
la.
get the hell out of here. And the thing is, one of my pet hates in the whole world is the phrase guilty pleasure. I hate guilty pleasure so much.
I don't feel guilty about enjoying anything.
Nothing that I like. There's a shitty British soap opera called EastEnders that I've never missed an episode since the 90s, and I have 10 episodes right now saved up, and I am salivating to get out of here so I can watch it. Jokes.
Yeah, I mean, because like we love reality TV, and we'll talk about that. Yeah,
it's so I moved to England in whatever year, which still make me be 38, and
God, I'm almost your age.
and I went there to study like law and English and all that shit. I mean, because I feel like if you're going to study English, go to the source, right? Mm-hmm. But you think that England is like, oh, I was going to call you yesterday, but the telephone was dead. But it's not. It's like it's getting stabbed for £5. It's EastEnders. Everyone talks like this, innit? Innit, mate? Innit?
You say in it all the
Yeah,
time.
innit, mate? It's like that. And so I'd never seen unattractive people on television before, and I was like, I could be on television. I could completely be a famous actor. And then the people on the show who are considered attractive, they're so much more attractive than the average cast that I fell in love with this girl named Martine McCutcheon, who actually is a beauty. I'm not saying anything, but I followed her around London when I was 19 for 2 hours.
What?
I know.
You started your career as a stalker?
I did.
Oh my God.
Looking back, so here's the thing. It makes me there's Martine. She was in Love Actually.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Yeah.
Well, she's great. And she played Tiffany on the Tiffany Butcher. No, because Frank Butcher ran her over on Christmas Eve.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's how she did. This happened in the 90s.
Yeah, well, I haven't caught up yet.
Since then, there's probably been 8,000 episodes. I really doubt you have the time.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to watch it.
She was run over. I think on Christmas Day, Frank ran her over. I can't remember what Tiffany's last name was. Tiffany...
Flat?
What was Tiffany's last name?
On the show?
Yeah, she was married to Grant. So she was a Mitchell, but I can't remember her. Tiffany Butcher?
Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, but what was her maiden name?
Raymond?
It says also Raymond.
Oh, yeah, Tiffany Raymond. Yeah. And her brother was one of the first gay characters on the show.
Oh.
Anyway, I like what I like.
Yeah, and I was talking about this recently with reality TV. I think maybe we were just watching the last episode of Vanderpump. And it is funny how much people talk shit about reality TV because the way reality TV is now, it is fully like a scripted show.
Well,
there's storylines, there's production value, there's all
Shep
of that
Rose
stuff.
on Southern Charm is a terrible actor. He's not good in dramatic situations.
That's what kills me when people are like, this is scripted. I'm like, if any of these people were good actors, they would be in movies.
Yeah.
Like, you're acting like it's so easy
None
for
of it's
these
real.
people to act these scenes.
What's real
produced,
about it,
for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely produced. But what's real about it, I mean, if there are some real aspects, there has to be because they live in the same town or whatever. Mm-hmm. What's real about it though is probably the fight for fame once the show catches.
Yep.
And like I had kind of a front row to a certain movie franchise that was a bunch of kids about vampires. And
never heard of it.
I watched those kids go from loving each other to like having $45,000 attack dogs. That like everything was a competition. What girls were on, magazine covers. I saw that, right?
And that's how
that's what
society
happens
pits you against each other.
that's
It's like
exactly right.
when you look at
It wasn't their fault.
You know,
They're
the Britney
kids.
Spears versus Christina Aguilera
Yeah.
thing when they were both coming up. It's like that wasn't a beef that was between them. It was manufactured by society and the media and all that stuff. And then I'm sure there probably comes to a point where they like actually start to feel these feelings because they're like, I wonder if they actually said this quote that's in the magazine.
Because here's the thing though, because they're pitted against each other at some point, they do. And you know that producers probably feed that,
Yes.
so-and-so said this about you. You know they do. And they're like, what? And the next thing you know, you have a fight. Of course, we're pitted against each other. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I have a problem. So if you look at my social media, like I have some followers, but like I don't engage that often on it because I'm trying to, and Kelly, you're going to help me do this, find the good part about it because on the surface of it, I feel that it creates unfulfillable want and to make you feel bad about yourself. So you follow people because their lives seem aspirational. I was a really late adopter to Instagram, and I think it was 2019 when I started. And I was looking around, just flipping through, and saw all these people on private planes, and then realized it's a set in North Hollywood that I've worked on. So then I went down a rabbit hole of thinking I'm protecting people by like, if they're just trying to make you feel bad about your life. And look at, they have 5 different hair lengths on the same trip, and I've worked on that private plane set. Instead, people got mad.
Yeah.
And I realized I was pissing in the wind. But I was in Thailand during the hottest time of the year, which is the cheapest time to go. I think it was May of last year. And, we were at like the top of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel with a beautiful panoramic thing. And they actually have a selfie bridge built in. And people bring their own photographers. But here's the thing about it. The lie of it all is that influencers were there. I mean, I didn't recognize any of them, but they were... And I wouldn't know anybody anyway, unless they were on television. But they were there with their photographers, or worse, with their boyfriends who just had like shoot me looks on their face. Yeah. And then they would all go down into the bathrooms and change clothes to make it look like they were there at different times of the year. They've been there multiple times. And like putting on wigs, and like it was a whole like vaudeville type.
Yeah, if you're there, you got to batch as much content as possible.
Just
I could
lie, though.
never be an influencer because anytime something becomes something that I have to do, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, same.
Like I'm anytime a video of mine goes viral on Instagram or TikTok, I don't open the app for a couple of days because it gives me too much anxiety. Yeah. But now I've found little ways to kind of like not be affected by any of the comments, because like there would be times where the notifications would pop up on my phone and somebody would be saying something really shitty, and then I would like look at the comment and saw that they were fighting with somebody else. So now anytime I get a bad comment, I just go, oh, they're fighting with somebody else.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks for the engagement.
I all that stuff gives me so much anxiety. But so I rarely go on it. But you see a good part of it too. You see people get successful. They get their art out there. Funny people get to be funny.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, but there's also a lot of education and sharing of people's life experiences, which helps me with like forming my perspectives about a lot of things that are going on, because we really only know our own experience. And so it's nice to be able to get information in that way. And I kind of feel like social media is going to be the way that things get revolutionized. I think people are fed up with the way the government runs right now, and like all of these systems that are kind of meant to keep us down, and social media is good for that. I don't find myself comparing myself to people on social media, so there's that, because I'm
but also you're not. I was gonna say you're not young. You're not,
I'm not. Yeah, I'm definitely not.
You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yes, I think social media for
children.
Like, I'm so thankful that I did not grow up in a time of social
media. Could you imagine?
No.
I mean, like when I got successful, like the New York Times called me human bookmark DJ Qualls shines, right? Yeah. So here's the thing. And it actually made, I don't know if it hurt worse or less, but it was like in a major publication. Like back then shit was printed about you. Yeah. And it like, Reese Witherspoon was so good at the beginning of getting my career. She really was like, you can't read any of this. You don't read any of it. Don't right? It's not about you. It's somebody just trying to. And Conan O'Brien did the same thing. I was on his show once early in my career, and we went to commercial, and he was like, "You're gonna have to be very strong. You belong in this industry. You're so funny,
right?
And you're gonna have a good career." But he was like, "You're gonna have to be so strong because people are gonna come at you because you're not like everybody else out here, and I'm not either. So that's why I know it, because people said the same stuff about me."
Yeah, easier said than done, but
it's hard. I've tried so many times.
But nobody who has ever left me a mean comment for no reason has been hot or successful or
they're not
funny or
aspirational.
smart or whatever. Like because I know that I wouldn't do that. You know, like if somebody is just posting a video and they're existing in their life and they're not doing anything harmful in the video, there is no conceivable world where I would ever go and make a negative comment on their account. So the people that do it,
it's also feeding trolls, and it validates negative behavior. But the thing is, I don't go through a lot, as I've said, but when I do come across something, I just mute it immediately, right? I don't see it anymore, and try not to internalize it. And then I honestly cannot tell you the wording of any negative thing that's ever been said to me. I can, however, tell you most things that have been printed. The Memphis commercial appeal,
they're all framed in your house.
Yeah, exactly. In a book. My mom gave it to me for my birthday last year.
His mom hates him. Yeah, I used to be that way. Like when I first started Jim's podcast, I would see a comment like right before I was going to bed, and then the comment would just play in a loop in my head. Even though the majority of the comments were really, really nice, it's like the one negative comment, and now I don't feel like that happens, and it's such a freeing place to be.
Yeah, Jim's really good about that with other people. Like we all are good with it with other people.
Yeah, of course.
Like I'm like, oh, don't internalize that, because it's not about you. But he was so instrumental. Like when I came out at his show.
We got to talk about that, because you coming out at that show ended a relationship for me.
Oh yeah, like a romantic relationship. Yeah. Romantic love is dumb. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, I was dating somebody at the time, and Jim had a show in San Diego. DJ said he was going to go, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll come down to San Diego too. And the guy I was dating, we hadn't been able to hang out for a couple of weeks, and he's like, well, why don't we spend the weekend together? And I was like, okay, cool. So I don't go to San Diego. Then I text him on Friday. I'm like, so what's the plan for this weekend? And he's like, I texted him on Saturday. I was like, so what's the plan? And he's like, oh, well, I'm busy right now, and then tomorrow I've got football. And I go, are you fucking serious? Like, you knew that I was thinking about going to San Diego. Yeah. You asked me to stay so we could spend the weekend together, and now you're acting like you fucking completely like, we just had this conversation a couple days ago.
And you're not having orgasms.
I know, never did though, so that's fine. But you texted me right after you got off stage, and you go, I just came out on stage, and I was so mad at him.
There was a reason I won't get into. You can watch Jim's special, or like I've talked about it publicly several times. But he was so good in like once you, it's still like it. I've definitely felt negative. I've felt pushback. The kind of parts I'm being offered. A guy who falls apart because he leaves his moisturizer at home. You get like
that was a documentary.
Exactly. I see. We've met. No, but I don't know what pillow goes with whatever things pillows go with.
As he said, he's not an expert in things.
I don't know. I don't know what a lot of stuff that society thinks is stereotypically gay.
Yeah,
I don't know that stuff, and so that's the kind of parts I'm being offered, and it's a world I don't come from and understand. And the thing is, I resent it because it's being written by people that also don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? So but I've noticed that. I mean, but Jim was so great because once I did it and I felt good about it, and I did it for a reason, and it wasn't planned. And then like 20 minutes later, it was news in Poland. And so my publicist calls me. She's like, you have to make a statement right now. And I did. I was loaded also. Not probably. I was 100% loaded. And Jim, I went up staying in San Diego for a week after, and he was like, I wouldn't look on social media, don't read anything. And he read it all or looked through it every day. And he was like, it's mostly good. There's a little bit of hard F and hard T's in it. Like there's a little bit of faggots in it. But for the most part, it's all positive. And then like I never read through all of it, but like weeks after, like it took weeks. But going back to what you're saying, even the good stuff, like I don't like compliments. When somebody's too nice to me, it'll make me cry.
Same.
And so even I have like 5 giant packages from Temu right now on my kitchen island. It is stuff that I need. I'm kind of excited to get, but for some reason I can't open them. Like I have an avoidance problem.
I'm the exact same way. Like I'll order stuff and then it shows up to my house and 3 weeks later I'm like, I don't even want that. I don't even need it.
You know what
anymore.
it probably is? It's probably a shopping addiction or probably some sort of gratification thing that we should have checked out.
Yeah.
I don't want to get checked out though because then
we'd have to go to the doctor.
I don't want to find out if something's wrong with me.
I think mine's just ADHD where it's like there is that dopamine hit of the purchase and eventually I'll get around to it, but it's not exciting to open the box because that feels like a task.
Yeah. Well, there's a sequin
task.
tuxedo that I have to wear to an event in there that I need to try on because they're selling out of the sizes. And that's the thing when you order things online, unless you want to order one in every fucking size, you have to try it on pretty quick to send it back so they don't sell out. But I promised myself. I used to schedule that on the calendar on my phone. On Thursday, you'll have to go through the mail. I think I'm going to go back to doing that.
Yeah. Well, Thursday.
What was your life hack?
I'm going to tell it next episode.
Oh, is it the next episode?
Yeah. I mean, now you're going to make it sound like it's a big deal.
Well,
now it's going to be a letdown.
As is so much in life, Kelly BlackHeart.
I saw a video recently that this can spark something. What is something that you feel like you learned embarrassingly late? So the video I saw that sparked this is a girl who's 28 and she kept buying lemons and having bags of lemons in her fridge, and her friend's like, why do you have these? And she's like, because I use them to bake and all that stuff. And she's like, no, why do you have a lemon tree outside? And she's like, oh, I thought you had to do something to the lemons before you ate
them.
That
you couldn't just take lemons from the wild?
So she didn't know that you could pick fruit off of trees and stuff like that. And like I think a lot of people think for their childhood that it's illegal to drive with the lights on in the car. I think we all went through that.
Is it not?
It's not.
I didn't know that.
There it is. We found it.
So
it's not illegal. It's just annoying.
I guarantee you, if you went through 10 things that you have on a list, I wouldn't know 9 of them. Like I don't consider myself a sheep. I consider myself questioning stuff, but like it makes sense to me that you shouldn't be able to drive with the lights in your car on.
It would be distracting for your vision, but I think there's a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily know, but it's not because I learned it and forgot it or don't understand it. I've just never thought about it before.
But I mean, I guess though it is kind of good for you to be able to drive with the lights on because you're not supposed to watch TV in the dark.
It's bad for your eyes.
It's bad for your eyes.
The blue light.
I actually do. I when I drive to work, if it's in an hour, I will listen to this show called The Block. It's an Australian renovation show. I know the locations. I know everybody on it. It's so.
Why would you listen to a renovation show? Isn't the entire point to see what's happening?
Because I already know that it's not going to be something I like. It's done by amateurs. Okay, The Block is
a construction podcast. Is what you're listening to.
The Block is such a masochistic person's dream. It is. They force 5 or 6 couples to move into a derelict building and live there. Like it's in ruins while they renovate it. And at the end of it, they auction it. And then the show decides what the reserve for the auction is. And anything you make over it, you get to keep.
Oh.
But I'm like in 2014 years right now on the show. Like I watched reality shows from 10 years ago, which is really hard to post when you're mad because you're mad about shit that happened 10 years ago. But 2 of the couples made $10,000 after renovating a $1.7 million. Like they have to do everything. Like they put up walls, the plumbing.
So it's a reality slave labor.
It really is. And the thing is, they realized that the $10,000 was like less than the Australian minimum wage. They should be able to sue the show.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the one where it's like neighbors that swap houses and
is it Trading Spaces?
I can't remember.
Did you call it?
Sure.
It's called Trading Spaces. It was on in the 1900s, the early 1900s.
But
you want to renovate your room?
The only ones that I've seen, the designs have been so bad, and I'm like, all of these people hate their neighbors?
Dude, that's the genius part about that show is watching people like
they just walk in, they're like
the looks on their face. Dude, people have gotten mad on that show. I watched that. That was one of the dude. Seriously, that show was on in the 1920s. Hey, say you want me to renovate your house? Come over here. Let's put up a chimney sweep.
My nephews have asked what it was like in the 1900s.
Did they really?
Yeah, they were playing. I think it was like the Lamb Chops theme song at one point, and they have like the Alexa screen. And so I looked at the picture and I was like, yeah, this song was popular when I was a kid. And Alex goes, did did you have it in color too? And I was like, wait, how old do you think I am? He's like,
Yes.
you were born in the 1900s. And I was like, Jesus
Yes,
Christ.
it was in color, and Santa Claus is dead.
I was like,
I'll see you next week.
You're 7 and you need to shut the fuck up. Yeah, he got me good. Alex roasts me all the time. He
but
said
they
the other
believe
day
it,
I
though,
give out
right?
free pounds.
What?
I gave him a pound and Jack, I was telling Jack I don't give out free pounds because he had to tell me something good he did that day. And Alex goes, you give out free pounds all the time. And Scott goes, yeah, maybe in college.
I see you've read my blog.
So constantly my nephews are roasting me. Keeps me
great.
humble.
That's really awesome.
Do you want to tell your why you're scared of weed before we get out of
Wait,
here?
how far are we into this episode?
We're
Because
gonna end it.
It's a 10-minute story.
44 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next episode we're going to take edibles. We're gonna take edibles on air and then come back.
Yeah.
Or okay,
We could eat them right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Actually, I brought my own edibles. Okay, so Kelly, yours are 10 milligrams, right? Yeah. Mine are 5 milligrams, and I've only ever taken 3/4 of a milligram.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have 5. I'm just kidding.
So weed is not good for me, but I'm gonna take a whole one. So this is why weed isn't good for me. It just doesn't work well with my brain chemistry. One day I experimented with it, but so one of the first times do I want Excite or Chill?
Excite.
Okay, I want Excite. Okay, these are Camino weed gummies. They're not doing product placement.
And mine are Kanha.
But
so feel free to sponsor us.
But the lid. Oh wow, the lid came off. I was gonna say
those lids are always so hard to get off.
I took a butter knife to it today and I broke it. Okay, so I'm gonna take a full one.
See you later.
Okay, please don't freak me out. You're gonna come back and I'm gonna be in a corner crying. Okay, so let me swallow this. I'm not talking with my mouth full. They're really chewy. Hold on. I hate chewing noises. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, same. I think I might have misophonia.
Is it misophonia? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's when you want to stab your friend to death for eating pita chips. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when weed first got legalized in California, everybody got their weed cards because it was legal medicinally. And Nancy, I grew up in the era of Nancy Reagan, and she really fucked us up. Just say no. Yeah. She made us afraid of everything. These kids have it so easy now, and so with their drugs and their music. So everybody went to Venice Beach, and there was a dancing pot leaf. It was a man in a foam pot leaf costume,
as one does.
And you went up to him, and he led you to Dr. Weed. And you went to Dr. Weed and said that you had insomnia or back trouble or whatever, and they gave you a weed card. And you paid the dancing pot leaf $40, and you paid the weed doctor $40.
Wait, why'd you have to pay the mascots?
I don't know, Kelly. It's the way it was back then.
Was that for the blowjob or?
No. So you pay the dancing pot leaf $40, and then you pay the guy, Dr. Weed, $40, and you get a weed card. So I remember there was a dispensary near where I lived, and so I went in Santa Monica at the time, and I went over there, and it was shady business back then. So I went in, and I'm all nervous. I remember this. It was a Tuesday.
It was always like a dilapidated building.
If there weren't railroad tracks there, they were implied.
Yeah.
So I went into the weed shop, and the trench coat on and a hat pulled down over my eyes, and it's all high people working there, and if you don't have a lot of experience with high people and high people try to help you, it makes you
frustrating.
It puts you in a place.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around, and I noticed that all the weed strains, all the titles of them are scary as hell. It's like Mind Eraser, Devil Semen, like all of this really scary shit. And so I wound up settling on Trainwreck, which was the most innocuous, the most innocent sounding kind of weed I could buy. So I got like an eighth of an ounce? Is that what it's?
Yeah.
An eighth of an ounce of weed. I think it was like $40. I got an eighth of an ounce of weed. And California weed, first of all, if you don't know, will blow the back of your head off.
Yeah.
And I don't know this. So I go to my local market and get some rolling papers and go home and roll a joint. By this time, it's I think I start smoking at like 8 o'clock. And so I've never rolled a joint before. And so I rolled this joint that's basically like an envelope. One whole side of it's open. It keeps flapping open.
I was going to ask him, like, how did you know how to roll a joint?
When I lit it, like the whole top of it caught on fire. And so I finally got a little something going, but I can't get a solid draw on it. So I'm doing this and getting little wasp breaths. Like I'm not blowing a solid stream of smoke. And so exactly. Mine did not look like that. It really did look like
his were worse.
Yeah, they were really awful. And so I couldn't get a solid draw. So I smoked I rolled a bunch of them and smoked, for a good amount of time because I could not get a solid stream. I don't know how much longer though, and I realized that I've oversmoked, and like I'm starting getting nervous. I'm thinking crazy things. I was like, "Wow, your heart's beating," and then my brain said this, and one day that's going to stop. And so I start panicking and went on the internet, and as you shouldn't do, and I was like, "What do you do if you oversmoke?" And all these websites come up, and it says
jump off a building.
Do not go on WebMD. WebMD gave me scabies once when I came back from the Philippines. That's a story for another time. It scared the shit out of me. It really did. Anyway, so I realize I've oversmoked, and I go on the internet, and all the websites say, whatever you do, don't go to the hospital. You're not going to die. And oddly, there's a weed brownie recipes also on every one of those warnings. Like you run all weed brownie recipes come with it. Yeah. And so it said do something not challenging to get your mind off of it. So I'm there and I'm really starting to freak out, and I'm by myself and I'm embarrassed, And so I turn on PBS. That's something not challenging. Turn on public broadcasting system. And so I start watching this documentary about Mary Pickford. Now, Mary Pickford was the world's first movie star. She became famous in like the early part of in the actual 1900s.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly's nephew.
She's a beauty.
Yeah, and she played her most famous character was she played a little girl when she was like in her 20s that everybody loved, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know anything about Mary Pickford. I know her name because her and Charlie Chaplin founded they founded their own studio, and they founded something that was a precursor to the Screen Actors Guild. And so they were the first actors to do this. You make so much money on us, we should get a part of that, right? And she's a woman, which is in the 20s. I don't know a lot about women's rights in the 20s, but I'm guessing they weren't great.
Yeah, I think there were little to none.
But she was the most famous person in the world because film changed the world. Mm-hmm. Think about this. Never before in humankind have you been able to see the same thing in Shanghai, China, and Toledo, Ohio on the same day. It was the first time we could share the same experience no matter where you were. So, and there were only like 9 people doing it at the beginning. So she became 50 times Madonna, 50 times Jennifer Lawrence, the biggest star in the world. So I don't know anything about her though, except her name. So I'm watching this documentary and start predicting shit that's going to happen to her. Like, I'm not joking. I'm like, she's going to get on this ship with her husband and go, and I'm like, where are they going? They're going to London. And they did. And I'm like, how do I know all this? How do I know all this? And then I was worried that I was hallucinating. And then you're not hallucinating. This is that I'm for real. I'm like, how do I know all this stuff? And then I'm like, am I Mary Pickford reincarnated? I couldn't explain it any other way. I know this because it's a memory. I was predicting so much stuff that was happening. And so then I started really getting upset. I was like, because I'm high, I'm emotional. And so I'm like, this makes so much sense. She doesn't feel appreciated. I don't feel appreciated. She's had struggles. I've had struggles. So I go on the internet.
She likes men. I like men.
Yeah. So I'm like, you're tripping. You're not Mary Pickford reincarnated, right? But I'm like, how else can I explain this? And I'm getting pretty worked up. I mean, I've over-smoked weed. And so I'm getting pretty worked up. And then I'm there, I'm trying to keep my shit together. And I'm like, if she wins an honorary Oscar in her living room when she's 80, I'm going to lose my shit. She did, and I did.
Wait.
She won an honerary Oscar that I predicted.
Are you sure you just had never seen, you've seen the documentary before by accident?
She won an honorary Oscar.
That's such a niche thing to predict.
That's why I'm telling you I'm Mary Pickford reincarnated. So I get into this. I'm like, there's no way for me to know this. I'm Mary Pickford reincarnated. And then one last straw, I go on the internet. She died the same year that I'm born. And so I lost my mind.
Now
and
by
this time, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And at this point in my life, everybody I know is in the South and on the East Coast and in London. So I had nobody to call. So I'm call and so
Imagine fielding that phone call.
Here's the thing. I've heard a couple of the voice messages because I did call people because I was in a crisis state because I was Mary Pickford reincarnated. Everything was making sense to me, and so I called this guy John, and this was the voicemail this is the voice message I left. Hey John, it's DJ. I'm scared. I'm Mary Pickford. Call me back. On my life, because also whenever I'm in times of distress, my southern accent comes out, and so I was Mary Pickford. I was panicked. I called 10 people. Nope. I left voice messages. So I am in such a rattled state. I wind up knocking myself out with Tylenol PM and wake up the next day to a flood of voice messages and texts going, hey, what the hell's happening over there? Who's Mary Pickford? And so I went and I'm like, that really happened. And I was like, that really happened, and I feel profoundly changed. And then I wanted to make sure that I wasn't so high that I imagined all of it. And so I went on. I pulled up the listings from PBS from the night before to make sure that the documentary had actually played, and it had played. But sometimes at the end of the night, PBS runs out of programming, and they play the same thing 2 times in a row. So I was so high, I sat through the whole first viewing of it. In the middle of the second viewing, I was like, "This seems familiar to me," because I just fucking seen it. Weed is not my friend.
I would pay all of my money to hear those voicemails.
It scared the shit out of me, man. Like, imagine, like, I mean, the reasoning is pretty hilarious. It also says a lot about my mental state. She has problems. I have problems. She doesn't feel appreciated.
Just wanted a sense of belonging so badly.
Dude.
I love that. I hope it happens again.
I do not, because it really scared the fuck out of me, and now I'm gun shy.
But what would be
weed.
so bad about being Mary Pickford?
No, because I don't like thinking things that aren't true, and I don't like feeling out of control. Do I?
I do.
I don't know, but anyway, we're getting ready to find out. I took a 5 milligram. How long do you think it'll take before I've taken it on planes before, but I'm not sure. I think I've taken so little that it was psychosomatic.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely be high when the next episode starts.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes. Oh, it's
30 minutes starting now.
It's 1:11. Make a wish.
Ooh.
Make a wish.
I wish that DJ is Mary Pickford reincarnated.
You may get your wish, depending on how this goes.
All right, we'll see y'all next.
We'll see you guys.
Episode.
Bye.
Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
And tune into your favorite podcast.
Where things will be misquoted.
And opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked